Alright, you guys, so this is one of the things I've been working on today. This is a window treatment that I had in my apartment when I was in South Carolina, my last apartment when I was in South Carolina. And I just switched out the curtain that's been up in this room since I moved here to my curtains that I had there. A window treatment goes a long way. One of the best things about switching is the sheer that's in the middle because it lets more light in the room. I failed to do a before video, but it was like a tan colored curtain, like a neutral colored curtain, but it was that material that keeps the energy conservation material. So really, really dark. Like you can't tell that the sun is coming up. So with that curtain, which is good if that's what you want, but I need the light. So I'm gonna use this HD Flawless. My face is already washed, toned, and moisturized. I'm not going to use a primer today because I'm using very light foundation and it's later in the day, so I'm not needing this to last very long. So I'm just gonna go right in. I have the foundation on the back of my hand. Got my little sticker. You know, you didn't vote if you don't have the sticker. That's the way it goes. So, I'm off now. I'm headed to a meeting. And, preferably traffic getting too crazy. But it'll be cool if it is. Because I want to chat with y'all a little bit. Anyway, I was listening to a podcast earlier. And, as a matter of fact, it was the How Married Are You podcast. And they were reading like a viewer's letter, and the person was having relationship issues, basically having certain expectations from her boyfriend and thinking that it was going to be a more long-term situation. And basically what it boiled down to is they both had different expectations of what was going to happen in the relationship. Anyway, they started talking about on the podcast the fact that people have a certain imagery of what a relationship is supposed to look like. So, and I could be, some of what I'm saying is what they were talking about, and some of it is how I was processing as I was listening to it. So, if you happen to have seen that, you will know the difference between the two. As a matter of fact, I will post the link to it in the description for this. So, basically, as they were talking, I was processing on the fact that sometimes we want things based upon principle, based upon what we understand from God's word, some of it based upon just our makeup as women, things that we're going to desire, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes we want certain things based upon a particular principle, but we have a certain imagery in our minds of what that thing is supposed to look like. And sometimes it's not the principle that's holding us back from successfully walking in a certain position. It's more so our imagery that's holding us back. For example, when it comes to relationships, Christian women want a particular type of relationship. We have certain desires as it relates to a relationship. This could be a single woman who's never been married, a single woman who's been married. This could be a married woman that's in a relationship that she is currently unsatisfied in, who's in a marriage rather that she is currently unsatisfied in. Whichever case, we all come to things with expectations. And when it comes to relationships, sometimes those expectations are not realistic and they're not healthy. And what I mean when I say that is sometimes our expectations are based upon our own imaginations And we have taken our own imaginations and stuffed them down into biblical principles to say that this is how you gotta be, or I'm not going to be happy with you. As opposed to saying, thus and such is my preference, or this is what will work well in our relationship. We try to take the model of other people's relationships, people we don't know, people that we don't know what happens behind closed doors at these people's homes, and we try to project that onto the individual that we are either in relationship with or desire to be in relationship with. So I just think that that's such an important point. That's such an important thing to ponder, because it could hold us back. And while the focus in the podcast that I was watching was on women, men do this too. Now, and I think sometimes we excuse it because we say, oh, men are visual, so it is going to be all about what you look like, what he might want, and blah, blah, blah. But a man being visual should not be an excuse for how, sometimes they have these preconceived notions as well, as it relates to not only what a woman should look like or what they want a woman to look like, but also how she should be. If your mom did a 50 item menu for Thanksgiving, then she's half of a woman if she does a 25 item menu for Thanksgiving. Or if your mom used to work at a department store, and so everything in your home was organized like a department store, then if your wife folds towels a certain type of way, then she kind of lost some marks as to how good of a housekeeper she is. Like, all of that, none of that is actually based on that person's ability to maintain a home, or that person's ability to be a good wife, or that person's ability to be an attractive woman. All of that is based off of what you made up in your head. And while it's nice that you can get some of the things you make up in your head, it's also good to know that there's life beyond what you make up in your head. And what you made up in your head, if you're holding on to that too tightly, you could actually be limiting yourself. You could actually be limiting your own capacity to have a good relationship, because you're unwilling to open your eyes to something amazing that God could have for you. So I said that for men and for women. Women, we're not as stuck on the looks thing. I mean, we all do have certain preferences, things that we would really like to have, or so we think. But a lot of times women are more willing to give when it comes to the visual. I don't know. We don't seem to be as caught up in the skin tone and the hair, and you don't have to have a loose curl in your hair. You could just have the nappiest head, but as long as you got a good haircut, as long as you keep your hair cut. And if you can't get to the barber, as long as you have some personal style, you can rock your hat, you can do something to keep yourself up. We good. Guys, on the other hand, it could be some other stuff. Like in the society that we live in, it's just so much that you can get caught up in and not realize, like, dang, I completely squandered an opportunity to have a relationship with someone amazing because he ain't got curly hair. Girl, get out of here with that. Y'all, it's too much out there that lets us know that all of that stuff, like, it don't mean nothing when it comes to having a good relationship, when it comes to someone having good character. Like, all of that stuff is nice, but it don't mean nothing. If you fair skinned with, let me not harp on the fair skin with curly hair, because y'all gonna think I'm discriminating. I think if you're fair skinned with curly hair, God bless you. No, I'm not gonna do colorism against you on the other extent. If you're tall, dark, and handsome, if you're muscular, whatever are those superficial things that we tend to harp on. Like, you could be tall, dark, and handsome and be a straight up woman beater. Like, no thank you. No thank you. And it's like, the older I get, the more I see that, like, it's gonna be your character that makes me attracted to you. Yes, I want someone who, cares about the way they look and all that. But also, like, that's not gonna make me attracted to you. You can be a good-looking guy, but it's not even gonna turn my head. It's really gonna be your character. Like, how do you treat people? Like, Chuck, how do you treat me? Like, what kind of dynamic do we have? To me, but back to the original conversation because this has taken a turn. For example, I want someone who's godly, someone who loves God. Now that is a biblical principle. But when I take wanting someone who's godly and loves God and make that into, oh, he gotta be on all of the auxiliaries in the church for men, and he gotta be up at 4:30 a.m. for prayer every morning, or it just ain't real. Like, that's when my imagery of my imagery of someone who looks, that's when my imagery of godly gets in the way of what God wants to do in my real life. Because the reality is, I can meet a dude who is only on one auxiliary in the church, who's barely there because he travels or he has to work, but he has a real relationship with God. He's a part of a real community of faith, and if I'm gonna X out somebody like that, because in my mind, if you are godly, then you always at the church, then that's not God in biblical principles holding me back. That's my mind, my imagination, my imagery of what it's supposed to look like holding me back. Same thing for guys. If your imagery of a godly woman is someone who is on every auxiliary in the church, or if your imagery of a godly woman is someone who never goes out with her friends, but she's always at home, always cleaning, always cooking a meal, and you gotta have 2 to 3 different fresh hot meals every day. If that's your imagery of a chaste and godly woman, then it's not biblical principles holding you back. It's your imagination, as opposed to being reasonable and knowing that 2 people who love God, who are attracted to each other, however the Lord draws that attraction together, can have a good and godly life together, and that God can grow and develop them by the power of the Spirit through that relationship without it completely matching this imagination that you have in your head of something that you've never experienced. All right, you guys, I am back from my meeting. It's about 10:30, 10:35-ish. And as you can see, I'm very shiny. I'm getting ready to wash all of this off. So we could actually do a twist and chat, because I'm going to twist this up for the night, and then I'm also going to take this makeup off, but maybe. All right, so stay tuned for the twist and chat. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up, tap the notifications bell, and hit the share button. Share it with a friend. Thanks again for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!